How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investment. In this video, I'm going to talk about things that you really need to watch out for and be very, very careful of because buying into these types of books can this lead to a disaster. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about uh, all these speculation books and what it could possibly lead to because most of the time they don't work out. A lot of times people ask me, it's like, hey, do you buy modern books? And I'm like, very few. And I don't jump into so much of the speculation on the modern books so much. I do have some, but it's just because it's like almost like betting on a penny stock, right? There's some that hit, and then when they hit, they're great. You pick them up for $5, $10, $15, $30, and then they're up to hundreds, maybe even $1,000, right? That's great. But for every one of those, there's a ton that just amount to nothing. And that's what you have to be really careful of. I've mentioned many times, like, these speculation books, it's like, oh, there's a new movie coming out or a script being made or something like that. Most of the times they never get made, or they never even, if they do get made, they're not even good. And then this drop by the wayside. I mean, just because it has a script or director or an actor attached or, a production team attached or whatever is going on doesn't mean it's going to get made. A lot of them just fade into nothing. You'll have a script and it's like, that's it. They'll have a script. There's so many scripts written. So you got to be careful when you jump into something like that. You got to look into the character. And it's like, is this something that's going to last? Is this something going to hit? Even if a movie did get made, is it going to be anything great? Right? So many times people are like, oh, you got to buy this next comic book because it's going to be like the next Avengers or next Walking Dead. It's like that is lightning in a bottle. It doesn't always happen like that. And that's why most of the time I stay, not so much into that stuff, and I go more for the classic books like the Spider-Man, Silver Age, Golden Age, Bronze Age, whatever it is, Batman's, whatever. Those are tried and true characters. They've been around forever. Spider-Man's not going anywhere. Batman's not going anywhere. Yeah, they might be a little more expensive to get into, but you could also pick up those books that are a little newer that are just better to get. But it's like, it's just so hard with those spec books because most of the time it doesn't work out. And a subscriber brought this book to my attention that I totally forgot about. But this gives a great example of all these spec books that are out there that people are just, oh, I got to buy. It's going to be the next big thing. And then you buy it, it gets hot, jumps up real quick. But as fast as it goes up, it just goes even faster down. And now you're just left holding the bag. But if you like the book, obviously buy the book. But if you're just buying it for purely speculation because it's going to be the next big thing, I don't know. So what book am I talking about? So back in a long time ago, like 2011, Sci-Fi was going to pick up a series called The Sixth Gun. It didn't really go anywhere. But then NBC decided to pick up where Sci-Fi left off, and they were going to make it. So here we go. Let's look at Sixth Gun now. So Sixth Gun number 1, a 9.8 back in April 2013, peaked at $927. It is currently sitting at $70. That is a 92% drop. A 9.6 sold for, at its peak, $525 back in March of 2013, is now sitting at $45, a 91% drop. And $45, that's basically case cost. What do I mean by case cost? I mean that's basically what it costs to grade it. It's about $22 or so to send it to CGC to get graded. Then you got handling fees, shipping fees, insurance, shipping back to you, all that stuff. So roughly around somewhere around there. A 9.4 sold for $350 back in March of 2013. Now it's $40. That's an 89% drop. Just a complete drop everywhere. You can pick up these books for next to nothing now. And if you look at the graph here, you can see that it's like it was sky high and then dropped really fast. Really, really fast. And it doesn't go much further back than that because it was such a nothing book to begin with that as soon as it, got wind of something was going to happen, everyone just started buying them up, casing them, because that's probably what happened. Most of these were raw, and no one had them cased because they didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, they're making a Sixth Gun movie. Well, I better take all of my raw copies, send them over, because probably none were CGC'd until the movie hit, because this book came out in 2010. So what that means to me is, I'll show you. Here we go. Let's look through this. Let's drop me down here in the corner. So yeah, here we go. 6gun. All right. Look at how it sells for nothing, right? This drops. The first data we got is back here in March of 2013. That's where we got our first data, right? What does that tell me? Well, the book came out in 2010. Most people didn't even care to grade it because it was a nothing book. So around March, that's when people started getting them out of the gate. So they probably, turnaround times back then were probably like 3 months for, maybe somewhere in there, 2-3 months for a modern book. And, if you look, let's see, where do I have it? Right here, February 25th, 2013, this person landed the lead role in the pilot 6th Gun. All right. So you got some headway. I'm sure there are some other things coming out before then. So people probably started, I think there's some like news on it in like December of 2012. It's probably around there. And so people were like, ooh, this is going to be big. So let me hurry up and send a bunch. So they sent a bunch and then they started selling. Slight drop off in April of 27th, but that looks like an auction book. That's because it's an odd number to sell for. But then look right here. All on this one day, 3. Then we had one the day after, all selling for $450, $500. What happened on that day? Well, on that very day, May 8th, NBC passes on 6th Gun for creative reasons. Let me tell you, 6th Gun was done. The pilot was done. It was already filmed. I'm sure you can find it online somewhere. Right? Here's the 6th Gun, had Pedro Pascal on it. Here is pictures from the filming of it. It was done. Maybe, maybe the CGI or something like that wasn't complete or whatever they were having. Maybe the post-production wasn't complete. But it was done for the most part. And NBC watched it and said, nah, not for us. We're going to pass. And so on the 8th, that's when that happened. Maybe this person who bought it on the 9th didn't really know that it happened. That happens sometimes. Or maybe this was actually on the 8th, but the GPA just counted it. Because sometimes the GPA and Go Collect are a little late. So it'll say the 8th, but it was actually probably a few days prior or something like that. Who knows? But probably what happened is whoever had these books around the 8th, they're like, oh my gosh, it was canceled. So they instantly just start dropping the price as fast as they can to get someone to buy it. And then someone's like, oh yeah, 6th Gun's coming out, not reading the news. A lot of people don't keep in the news. Like I'm not 100% on the news, what's going on the exact day that it happens, right? People are at work or whatever and like, I need to pick up 6th Gun because it's hot. Or they watched a video on YouTube saying like, this is going to be the next hottest book, but they watched it a few days late. Who knows? And so, yeah, people just sold, got rid of all this stuff. And then as more people realize, oh, this movie got canceled, look, it just goes less and less and less and keeps going down. From May, it was canceled in May. It dropped by half in June. And then in July, it probably drops by another 25, 30%. And then it keeps going down and down. And then the next year, it keeps going down and down and down and down because there is like a little chance that Universal might have picked it up. Like, oh, maybe Universal, because the pilot's already made. So you don't have to, if you're another production company, you don't have to go through the whole hassle of making something. It's already made and you just look at it and go, yes or no. And yeah, it just keeps going down. And look at this, in 2019 one sold for $6, but now it just sits at $70. That's a buy it now. Someone just came wrong about it. Hasn't been one since March. Free comic book day one. It had a peak of $500. Same thing, just dropped. And now there's barely any sales. And if you want to look for one on eBay, let's pop up eBay here. You got one for $200, $150. Keep going down, $89. Oh, that's a 9.4. But yeah, people will sit up here and sit on them, hoping one will come along, but probably will never sell. if you look at how many have sold, just like a couple, literally a few in the last, like if you look in the last 12 months, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 in the last 12 months. That's like nothing. Yep. And that's pretty much what happens to these, some of these movie scripts, whatever it is. They get all hot and everyone wants them, and then it just passes on. And it drops to 90%. And is this book going to go anywhere in the future? No. I'm talking about future next 5-10 years. Like, the only way this movie will move, or this book will move up in value, is if for some reason another production team decides, we're going to make a movie on it, or a TV show or something like that. We're going to make it work. That would be the only way. And that's what I'm saying is, like, a lot of these books they don't attach themselves to the audience. They're not like a Spider-Man or a Batman or anything like that. They have no real fan base, and the fan base they do have is very small. Nothing wrong with liking this book. It's just a very small fan base. And that's why I always say this: go for the ones that are always going to go up. The Spider-Mans are always going to go up, like the old Silver Age Spider-Mans. Batman's always going to go up. Superman's, just get the old ones, the ones that are tried and true, because they're rare. These 6 guns, there's not enough of them. It's supply and demand. There's not enough demand to meet how much supply there is out there. And that is like a problem with a lot of these modern books, is there's just not enough demand at the end of the day. And they're all hinged on hopefully a movie or a TV show or something like that. And a lot of times the reason why these production companies come and want to pick up the 6th gun is because Spider-Man is way too expensive and already owned. So they have to dig deep and really, really deep through comic book lore, hoping to find something great. And so they just they'll option almost everything, write a script for almost everything, because it's cheap in the beginning to get it now. And it could be hopefully because the production companies are looking for their next Walking Dead, their next Avengers. But the thing is, with the difference between like a Spider-Man or a Hulk or an Iron Man, is they're tried and true. There's like they've been around for 60, 70, 80 years, some of these characters. So that's kind of like what you have to be careful of. You just got to watch out for, like, there's nothing wrong with speculating on books, and there's nothing wrong with, hoping to get the next greatest thing. So you just got to ask yourself, is this going to be a character that's going to resonate with audiences? And is this something that's really going to actually happen? And even if it does happen, what if the movie or TV show sucks? And there's plenty of books out there where movies get made of them or TV shows get made and the book never goes anywhere. And that's what just happens. So remember, when you're trying to speculate, to think about all those things going into the comic, and that's why I like to stick to ones that actually have more facts than rumors to them. And yeah, I do speculate too. There's nothing wrong with it, but you just got to be careful out there, because a lot of them will end up nowhere, and especially right after whatever comes out and it flops or doesn't do well, because that's a gamble in itself. Then all of a sudden that book is, gone too. So just be careful. That's why I mostly buy the tried and true Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age and stuff like that. And I don't really jump into moderns too often, unless it's, something that's tried and true. Like I buy and sell Walking Deads all the time because they've worked. It works. I'm not going to jump in and, buy, because if I had to literally spend all this money buying all these speculation books and then hope one that hits, I don't think it'd work out in the end. All right. Have a good day.